okay, I stopped paying attention in class. I was thinking about the adventures of Ash, about the misfortune of sitting kids at Crystal Lake. Became addicted straight away with the initial tape. God bless Betamax. VHS, holy like Amanda Kruger. I was introduced to genre flicks by Toby Hooper. I started craving more just like Larry the Looter. I collected VHS without commentary or bloopers. Slow computers, magazines, a bunch of stores. Spent my money on movies and begged my mom for more. I'd watch the boys kill those Astro bastards 5 times a day or even more. I loved the gore. Lionel and Paquita combined their lonely hearts. I was hellbound, Cenobites tore my soul apart. I've seen them all, from Dracula to Vertigo. Listen up, welcome to The Horror Show with Sean and Joe.
Hello everybody and welcome to The Horror Show. Show dissects, mutilates, dismembers, and butchers all of your favorite and not so favorite horror movies and other horror related events. I'm Sean.
I'm Joe.
Hello, Joe.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. So, I guess. So, I forget that, 90% of our listeners are not on our social media accounts, which is crazy to think about.
Right?
I feel like people write us off because of our social media numbers, but it's crazy. Our listener numbers are literally staggering compared to how they follow us. So people consume us and just are like, I don't want to know anything more about them.
Honestly, I respect that.
I do too. I completely agree because I feel like whenever you and I liked the podcast and started following them on social media, we were immediately like, fuck
you
these
immediately
guys.
regret it. Yeah. I completely respect that for anybody that listens is just like, I don't want to ruin it. Let's just let a good thing be.
It's insane. It's literally like 30 to 40 times our social media amounts is our subscribers and like people must be like, oh, they have 1,000 people. Like, and it's like, no, those are just the maniacs that want to know more about us. So, I guess for those listeners, the listeners that don't follow us, we are coming back. We are back, full time.
Good.
For good. Until my next mental breakdown, which it wasn't a mental breakdown. Our break was, I think it was perfect timing. I was talking to somebody else about it. There was like an element of stress for me to it, but ultimately you ended up having a child right before the end of it. Right? Your second child.
My second one.
And so that was honestly, like, I feel like it was a good thing. I feel like you would not have been able to squeeze it in with work. Your job got more stressful. Like, I think we needed
I got
a couple
a new position.
years.
Yeah, I had a job change, a new kid. It was good. It was a good break.
I agree. I think it was exactly what we needed to do. I think if we pushed through it, it might have ended. Maybe
we might not have come back.
Yeah, exactly. It would have like burned out so bad where it would have like caused like issues with like our loved ones and shit. So like I think this was good. I think it was a good break, and for everyone that was like, are you guys hate each other? Like, no. Nope, it's not a thing. So we are back.
No, we said it on like the one-off episodes we did. It's like the show continued because literally every single day we would just we would just be miserable watching movies. We just wouldn't record ourselves doing it. So we haven't missed a step.
We have not. And then, it wasn't even like that big of a deal for us to start it again. I was watching, I honestly think, so this week we are doing The Island of Dr. Moreau from 1996. And the reason we're doing it is because I watched the documentary Lost Souls like a week ago. And I think that honestly might have been the thing where I was like, let's do the show again. Because that documentary and the backstory to this movie was everything I loved about the show. Like the bullshit that makes no sense behind the scenes is the best part to talk about. And this movie... Agreed. This movie has it all. The greatest backstory of all time for making a movie.
Completely agreed. Sean was telling me some of the details behind it, and I like heard about it before, but As soon as he said that, like, the first thing in my mind was, we need to fucking record this and talk about it.
It's true. And then I messaged Joe a little while after, and I was like, let's do the show again. All right, so we're back. Joe, what's the best rap comeback song? Return into the game song.
I mean, it's got to be "Mama Said Knock You Out."
Okay, that's what I read a lot on the internet. Now, how about Mace's "Welcome Back"?
I mean, no.
All right, here's the notes.
You know, not too many hip hop songs make good use of the "Welcome Back, Kotter" theme song, which to the listener, that's actually what probably got the ball rolling on our return.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Because before Sean was watching the documentary on the making of whatever this fucking movie's called. I keep thinking Dr. Caligari, whatever.
Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, Dr. Moreau. Fucking fat asshole Brandon. Anyway, before he watched the documentary on that, we started talking about rewatching Happy Days and Welcome Back, Kotter episodes, because that's what we watched during our summers when we were kids, which, by the way, was like 1996, so there was no reason we should have been watching that. But yeah, we were talking about rewatching them and toying with the idea of coming back as a full-time Happy Days podcast.
It was going to be like, my vision was like a Nick at Night podcast.
Which I like. I like that idea a lot.
And it would just be Nick at Night programming. But yeah, we started watching
Car 54, where are you?
50-year-old television shows trying to market to kids 30 years and younger.
I think that should be our Patreon angle.
I you know what? The more you say it, you said that, and I really do think, because I could do that. I could bang that out. I know we tried that with, what was that?
Cold Jack?
Cold Jack. But like,
Cold Shack?
Having Happy Days is a breeze to watch. Kolchak, I remember I watched the first episode and was like, what the fuck is happening? It was so...
Well, you couldn't see anything for 90% of it.
Yeah. They shot the movie at night and didn't know how to light it.
Yeah. You just had to guess what was happening based on the sounds.
Yeah, so that's true. But so, is Mace's Welcome Back a good song or no?
I'm going to say yes. I'll say yes.
Oh my God. I appreciate that so much because I genuinely think it's pretty good. It was so when it came out, I remember I really liked it. But then it kind of got this vibe of being corny and weird, which I guess it is. It is a little bit because he was trying to be Mr. Clean Cut. But I was re-listening to it the other day and it's not a bad song.
It's not. It's not. It's fine.
Now, is he back to being, not a priest and not God-fearing?
I don't know if he's not God-fearing. I mean, I remember he released that diss track to Cameron. I think it was like last year or the year before.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew something recent.
And it was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, good for Mace.
Yeah. Keep it up, Mace. Remember he had that, speaking of Nickelodeon, he had the Rugrats rap?
Yes.
No, that was fucking corny.
Also,
with Blinky B from Harlem World, who by the way broke Cannabis's jaw at a basketball game. I don't know why I know.
You're recording Rugrats theme song. Also Mace had like 20 years between Welcome Back and that diss track.
It's true.
I'm like, that's like his two last big claims to fame, I would think. Well, we said we were going to do Cats as our next episode. It was awful. I watched Cats.
Sean, was this not Cats? Like did some of the makeup and costumes not look exactly like Taylor Swift and Cats?
That's what I was going to say. This is Cats. This is Cats. So we are technically fulfilling our promise of doing Cats.
There's way less singing, right?
There's way less singing, and quite honestly, I think this might be a better movie.
Yeah, so Sean, before I interrupted him, he was saying that he watched it. It was our plan to watch it, and Sean immediately texted me and was like, "I'm like 5 minutes in, and we're not doing this movie."
It was so bad. It was so bad. I literally had no idea what was happening, and I don't know. Maybe did we already talk about this on the show or no? We might have. I don't even know.
I have no. What was the last thing we did? It was the Danzig movie.
Oh yeah. I don't know, but cats. So my favorite thing about the Cats was because I started looking up information about Cats the musical because I was like, why do people like this? And it was really mind-boggling. And I guess at the time it was just like this huge production that had never been seen before, like the makeup and the sets and all of this. It had never been done. It was like a blockbuster for Broadway. So that's why that's like its real claim to fame, and the songs I guess are amazing. But I found this article about when who wrote that? Andrew Lloyd Webber or whatever his name is. That who did it?
I have no fucking clue who wrote that.
Wait, let me look it up so I don't sound like an idiot. I mean, I do sound like an idiot. Who wrote Cats? I think it's Andrew Lloyd Webber was the composer.
He did. I do know he did Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, he's. I think he's like a god of Broadway.
He's well known.
Yeah. So he brought in his friend to show him like they had never done a show yet. They were practicing and rehearsing a rehearsal. They showed him like a dress rehearsal, and the guy was like, "Man, Andrew, like that was an amazing thing, but what is it about?" Like he's like, was it like thinking? Because I thought the same thing. Is there an analogy or an allegory to like war or something? And Andrew Lloyd Webber looked confused and went, "It's about cats." And that's all he said. And the guy was like, "All right, sure, whatever, man."
That's brilliant. I love it.
It's about cats. Looking confused, puzzled. What's your problem? It's in the title of the movie. So we did. We watched Island of Dr. Moreau. We also watched Lost Souls, the documentary behind it, and boy, that was amazing.
I highly, highly recommend giving it the 1-2 punch if you're going to check out this movie. It's on Lost Souls is on Prime, and I can't recommend watching it enough. Everything about it sounds made up. Like it sounds more scripted than the fucking actual movie does.
It does. It's insane. It is insane. So the original director of this was Richard Stanley, who was off of the heels of what? Some sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah, he did Dust Devil, and he did Hardware. So it was like pretty low budget, but they had a decent enough following.
Yeah, and people were talking about, he had like a lot of hype behind him as a young director. So they give it to him, and there is just a mess that follows this guy like a hurricane. But ultimately, who ends up directing?
And literally a hurricane.
Ultimately, who ends up directing it is John Frankenheimer, who did Birdman of Alcatraz, Manchurian Candidate, Reindeer Games. He ends up taking over and changing most of it, if not all of it. It sounds a lot like the Justice League reshoots. Like, it sounds like Richard Stanley made a part of a movie, and then this guy came in and kind of said no, and we're going to redo all of it.
For by all accounts, it sounds like the crew was all on board with Stanley's vision.
Yeah.
And then he was abruptly booted by somebody who we've hated on in the past, Robert Shea or Bob Shea.
Bob Shea, who did Nightmare on Elm Street, and who seems like a genuine idiot.
He's the guy that was confused about the sexual overtones or undertones in part 2, right?
Yes, he was like, I don't understand what people are talking about.
Even though he demanded to be cast.
Oh my god, it's insane. Yeah, so I mean, I guess we should start the movie and kind of go into maybe the stories from the documentary, because I think that's the best way to follow it. But or is it? I don't even know. Richard Stanley, after the documentary, do you think Richard Stanley kind of got fucked over? Like,
what do you mean, kind of? That guy's entire life is ruined. Sean.
Okay, well, so some people messaged me and were kind of making fun of Richard Stanley because they saw I posted an image on Instagram of Dr. Moreau, and people were like, "Are you going to talk about the documentary?" I was like, "Yeah," and like they kind of like made fun of Richard Stanley. I was like, "Dude, Richard Stanley did nothing wrong in all of this. He just wanted to make a fucking movie, and everyone else fucked up."
Richard, I mean, don't get me wrong. He kind of seems like a weird asshole. Like
Yes,
the things that he was like he was like the witchcraft angle and like his premonitions. Like, you're a fucking idiot if you think that was true. But imagine being like an up and comer, just in anything. Like just to relate it to the podcast right now. Like, imagine you were like, people were reaching out to you and like, we're going to put you in charge of this huge podcast production. And like, you've dedicated your whole life for this moment, and everything is your way. You mapped it all out. You handpicked everybody. And then as soon as you get there, they just immediately fire you and you go and live in the woods for fucking 9 months. While somebody else like destroys your brainchild.
It's true. And everyone they interviewed for the show was like, "Oh, Richard was giddy. He was so happy to be there." They were in the jungle. Like, everyone was a little bit miserable, and Richard Stanley was like, "This is going to be the best movie ever made." He was so excited just to make the movie, and then they just shut it all down and brought in. I mean,
he's not without fault. Like in the documentary, they're like, Richard Stanley just wouldn't show up to meetings and be like, "I don't need to do that." Which, like, of course you do. You're the fucking director. But I also just think he's like, he has a couple screw loose. He's just like quirky. Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
to have this like brainchild and to put so much effort into it and have it ripped away from you, like, how did he make it out of that jungle?
I have no idea. And that's so one of the best parts of the whole. I would say there's two stories in this documentary that make it. So I'll let Joe tell the air conditioning one because he reminded me of it. But Richard Stanley is removed as director, and they're like, "You're done. Get out of here." But no one ever hears from Richard Stanley again. And they are put on hiatus for 2 months. They are all basically vacationing for 2 months out there while they wait to figure out what's going to happen and who's going to come out and direct it. They start filming again under the new director, and a few of the extras go out into the jungle to camp because they're out in Australia in like a rainforest area. I think it's like the far west side of Australia.
Yeah.
And it's literally a rainforest. And so the extras, as like just a retreat for the weekend, are like, "Let's go camping." They go camping and they hear somebody, and it's Richard Stanley. And Richard Stanley walks out of the fucking jungle and is like, "Oh, hey guys." And he had been living out in the jungle, just fishing and surviving out in the jungle. So they get Richard Stanley a mask, one of the dog people masks, and bring him onto the set. That is hands down, and he's in the movie. That is hands down one of the greatest movie stories of all time.
And not only is he in the movie, but there are scenes where he's like on top of Val Kilmer. Like, he's very much in the picture. Front and center.
It's incredible.
And I love that there was rumors that he was still like lurking around the jungle because like there's reports that he never went back to the States, and everyone was like on edge that he was going to destroy it, and the extras snuck him back on, and at like the climax he's the one that's next to all the gasoline and the fire.
Yeah.
and the director's like, "You and the dog mask, like, torch this place." Could have blown up the entire set.
It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. It's like one of the best stories of all time. And then the other story, which will get, like, is about Brando, who there's a lot to talk about with him, man. Just what a character. What a piece of shit. So you were telling me this story. So, and I forgot it completely. So
my wife actually read it. She like found it and read it to me. I was like, "There's no way this could possibly be real." And then I watched the documentary, and he confirms it.
So Brando goes to a meeting with Richard Stanley and what was it? A female executive?
There's a female executive that the studio like demanded escort them so they could just pretty much talk about the pre-production. So this is well before filming started or anything. And Brando, of course, did not want the female executive to be there. So he brought her into the house, and he kept turning the air conditioner colder and colder and colder while she was sitting in the room. And she was like, if you turn it down anymore, I'm going to pass out. So he kept turning it down until she did fall asleep. And then as soon as she fell asleep, he met with the director, Richard Stanley.
It's fucking madness. It's fucking madness.
Putting someone in a room and just making them so cold that they fall asleep.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's so diabolical.
It's like a James Bond villain.
Yeah.
Or like, not even, it's a Batman villain. It's like the 60s Batman villain.
It is. That is.
Well, put Commissioner Gordon to sleep by putting
That's
ice cold
exactly
air.
what it is. Yeah. Fucking Mr. Freeze. That's 100% what we would do.
Oh my god. So that happened. The stories of Marlon Brando, it seems like you knew about his history of being a piece of shit, because from the moment I talked about this movie, you've been like bashing Brando.
Yeah. He's an enigma because, like, from what I've known about him, from what I've read about him, he's always hated being an actor, and like he's always quoted as being like, "Yeah, this job's for assholes. Like, you have to be a real lazy piece of shit to be an actor." So like a general disdain for doing it, which I don't know why he just continued to do it, year after year. But he did not like doing it. I almost kind of feel I do feel for him, because at the beginning of this film, his son had been arrested for murdering his daughter's boyfriend. Shot him in the head, and then that same daughter committed suicide shortly after. Yeah, so that's how this whole movie started. He was on trial with his son and all that, and then his daughter killed herself. She was schizophrenic. She had said that the boyfriend was abusing her, and I don't know if it turned out to be completely false, but like, yeah, even the son was like, I probably shouldn't have taken her word for it. 'Cause he went to confront him, and that's when the other guy got shot. So Brando was. He was going through some shit, but he was. It is. So I feel for him in that. I mean, he's still human, but he was notoriously difficult to work with. Like he worked with De Niro and Frank Oz. Frank Oz directed the movie. I forget the name of it. The Score, I think. And Brando called Frank Oz Miss Piggy the entire shoot. Because he did the voice of Miss Piggy.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, so childish.
Dude, the stories of Brando in this are out of control. And somebody did say that in this movie too, and I had never heard that they said he was notorious for hating his craft. And yeah. I had never heard that, and I was like, that's bizarre. Just stop doing it.
Yeah. Hated what he did, hated everyone else that did it. It's so insane.
Dude, the story in the documentary, I don't know if you saw that part, but when he pulled over, he was like, "Hey, you're from Germany?" And the kid was like, "Oh yeah, I'm German." And he's like,
that's probably my third favorite story of the whole thing.
And the guy was like,
speaking in clear gibberish, and the guy was like, "I don't know what you said," and he thought he heard the guy say cat and roof. Yeah. So he was like, "Oh, you're talking about cat on a hot tin roof?" And Brandon's like, "No, you fucking idiot." And then made his assistant be like, "What did I just say?" And his assistant somehow nailed it. Probably because it was pre-planned. Probably because he was fucking with him. And then Brandon, and this guy that he was doing it to was supposed to be like one of the big stars of this movie. Like he was supposed to be in every scene with Brando. And then Brando fucks with him by speaking in German, and then goes over to the little guy, I forget his name, but he goes over to him and says the same gibberish. It's like, "Oh, I speak Spanish." And the guy responds with "Si, senor." And Brando just goes, "I love this guy. Put him in every scene with me." And made the other guy's role almost non-existent.
It's insane. It's insane. And they were like, it's that kid. He's not a kid. He was a grown man. That Nelson De La Rosa was his name.
Yes.
He's like very small, like very.
He was the world's smallest man.
Yeah. And, they were like, Brando, he doesn't know any English though, so he can't take that guy's spot because he can't read the lines and there's a ton of lines. And Brando was like, I don't care, just dub it over. And they were like, we can't do that. So now this guy takes this guy's part and now has no lines. They just got rid of all the lines.
It's so ridiculous.
It's insane. Oh my god,
So,
that's my favorite. German guy's like, I don't know. What, like, that doesn't sound like words.
I can picture him doing that too. Especially in his fat stage.
Dude, and how did Val Kilmer, later in this movie, Val Kilmer starts pretending to be Marlon Brando?
It's the best acting of all time. It sounds just, looks and sounds just like.
It's amazing. It's his best role. It's Val's best role.
Which, by the way, Val was also a complete dick to everybody. Val was probably the biggest dick out of everybody.
Dude, that's what I was going to say.
Everyone they interviewed was like, Marlon Brando was a piece of shit, but at least he was like funny. Yeah. Whereas Val was just a piece of shit.
I think they all like Brando because even though he was a piece of shit, he hated movies so much that he just gave everyone, like, he was like, fuck this movie. Val thought he was like hot shit coming off of Batman or whatever. Was he coming off of Batman at this point?
Yeah, and Jerry, what was his name? The one that just died. Was it Jerry Bruckheimer?
Oh, yeah.
Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
He hated Val Kilmer. He hated Val Kilmer too, that he didn't bring back Batman in his sequel. Like you just had a hit movie with Batman and you recast Batman. Like, you have to suck for that to happen.
And you know what? Sometimes you see these guys disappear and you have to know that this is like the kind of shit that they did. All the stories of Val were just him calling people being like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. They're like, Val, do you want to be in this movie? And he's like, yeah, but I'm not going to do 4 weeks. I'm not going to do that. So just cast me as something else. What the fuck? But
the makeup for some of these people, like the animals, it took them 3.5 hours to get made up each day, and then they would sit around for hours and sometimes not even shoot because Val would refuse to leave his trailer before Marlon did, and then Marlon would refuse to leave his trailer before Val did. So they would both just sit in their trailer all day until the other one came out.
In like 100-degree weather.
Yes.
They were in the fucking jungle. Those two assholes.
Which, by the way, going back to Richard Stanley sneaking back on as an extra, they all said how it was like 120 degrees and everybody needed to take their mask off multiple times to get water or else they would die. Except the one guy in the dog suit who would never take it off because he didn't want anyone to know who he was.
Dude, the producer that was interviewed and was like, man, I saw that guy in the dog mask and thought that guy was going to die. He was like, it made no sense. He's like, it stood out because it was so insane.
Dude, I can talk about the backstory to this is also funny. I just remembered that the new director called Bob Shea. It was like, listen, he's like, we're in fucking trouble. He's like, Brando wants to reshoot everything, and he keeps pitching an idea that at the end he takes off his hat and he's actually a dolphin.
I forgot about that.
And Veruza Balk was like every time I would go to Brando and be like, hey, maybe we should connect on the lines. Brando would just laugh out loud. Like, this movie sucks. Like, we don't need to do that.
Dude, that actually might have been my overall favorite thing. He was like, honey, don't waste your time. Like, this is a joke. This movie's terrible. He's like, we don't need to talk about anything. And he had his assistant. He wore an earpiece most of the movie, and his assistant read the lines to him because he refused to learn them.
Yes, yes, and in the documentary they said that like there was a really smooth read, and he just interrupted to yell at her because she was doing it in a voice like a different voice acting, and then online it said that sometimes Brando would be reading a line and then be like robbery in progress on Route 13 or whatever because it would pick up the police scanner, so he wouldn't know the difference.
Imagine like. Dude, that's like the TV shows when they give the guy the headset to talk to girls, and ultimately they start saying the wrong shit. Like, and you're like, that's ridiculous. No one would do that. You would know what was real and what was something else. And fucking Brando was doing it. All right, let's talk about this movie though.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So before I watched the movie, you were sending me pictures of Brando in the world's smallest man. I forget the character's name in the.
It was like so hard to pronounce. I read it and I was like, I'm not going to call him that. So I actually called him Mini Me in most of my notes.
Mini Me.
Well, because like,
Mini Me,
and it's not a jab at him. He's literally dressed as Brando. He is the original Mini Me.
That's very true. I wonder. That's funny you say that because A, I wonder if like that's a direct homage, and B, when I posted the picture on like my Instagram story, somebody messaged me and was like, "Are you doing Austin Powers?" So, we're clearly not alone in that thought.
It's wild. They wear the same clothes. It's whatever. So because I couldn't remember his name ever.
You sent it to me, and you were like, "Joe, look at this. Brando like demanded this guy be next to him at all times." And I was like, "Oh, Sean, he's doing the Pedro Martinez treatment." And in 2004, the Red Sox won their first World Series, and after every playoff game, for whatever reason, Pedro Martinez would bring this little person out and just parade him around on his shoulders. So I was like, that's very. He would like douse him in champagne, and just like hoist him up. Yeah, he would. And I was like, this sounds very similar. I was like, this sounds very similar. Like that's ridiculous. So today I was telling Tina that, and we looked it up. Sean, it's the same fucking guy. Because that guy's from Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
and so is Pedro. Yeah, so is Pedro. And they said that guy's like a huge star. So that was Pedro's like good luck charm. That's what we referred to him as.
That's insane.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, they said he's like the biggest star in the Dominican Republic. They went to go talk to him and he was like surrounded by women and, and children and just beloved. Oh, God.
What a life that guy had.
I mean, honestly, he's dead now, right?
He is, yeah.
Well, this movie starts out, so in the movie, I thought the guy from Northern, because I watched the documentary first, so they were saying that guy from Northern Exposure was going to be the lead guy, but he's not.
No, that Rob Moreau, he leaves halfway through. Like, he called Bob Shea up crying, being like, "This is a disaster." So he leaves. And they bring in the guy who plays
Remus
in Harry Potter. And he's like the main star, and he must have hired a lawyer and put like a gag order out, like, please do not ever mention my name in association with this movie, because they didn't even acknowledge that Rob Moreau left.
Yeah,
I mean they did, but like that was the end of it. They never said they replaced him with anyone. So
no, that was super weird to me, because I saw him and I was like, wait a minute, that's not the Northern Exposures guy.
No, yeah.
So Remus from Harry Potter, he's there. He's all right. He's all right. Val Kilmer's in this.
He's fine.
What was that?
I was saying he's fine. Like he actually like gave it his all. I didn't mind him at all in this movie.
Honestly, I didn't mind Val Kilmer. I'm gonna be honest.
I didn't either. Dude, I didn't either. He was at like peak Kilmer. You know, he looked great and he honestly did fine.
He was better than I thought, and better than I remember Val Kilmer acting. Honestly, he might have been better in this than he was in Batman. Because I
don't think I agree with that.
I don't know.
Only because there's one scene where in this movie where they're like, "Where'd you get that gun from?" And Kilmer is acting like a fucking 2-year-old, just like looking over his shoulder, and staring at a wall. Give me a break.
Like the guy looks at him to be like, it was him, and Val Kilmer looks over his shoulder.
I don't know.
Like, oh, are you looking at the guy behind me? Yeah, that was, so here's a question. Did you like this movie?
I didn't dislike this movie. I think
neither did I. I don't mind this. I thought it was pretty good.
it's not nearly as miserable as I was expecting going into it, and knowing the backstory of it, it's honestly a fucking miracle. Like Frankenheimer should honestly be praised for pulling this off. And like people always say, like, release the Snyder Cut. Like, I wish there was a Stanley Cut, because there's a super good movie somewhere, like, within this.
I agree completely. I agree completely. They talk about some of Richard Stanley's ideas, and I was like, man, that would have been fucked up and, like, pretty cool. Like, if it was a little darker and they didn't paint Marlon Brando white for scenes.
Well, they didn't paint. He painted himself white. And he said it was because it was for the sun.
Dude, there are so many things he does in this movie that I am like, that is not in the script. That is Marlon Brando just talking.
He puts an ice bucket on his head and makes Fairuza Balk pour ice on top of it to keep his head cool. And it's 100% not scripted. Dude, and the director just had to go with it.
I agree completely. I think he complained about the heat constantly, and they just filmed it because throughout the movie, for no reason, Dr. Moreau's like, it's so hot out here, it's miserable.
and the character Dr. Moreau has been there for like 60 years, so
yes.
You 100% expect the heat.
Dude, every like once every 3 or 4 scenes he's in, he'll be like, the heat out here is ridiculous. It's 100% Brando just talking.
And dude, going back to your question of, is it good? Like, obviously it's written by H.G. Wells, so we know it's a good story, but like the screenplay is completely fine. Like the way that it plays out, aside from like the absurdness of Brando, it's a good story.
My only issue with it, and I don't know the H.G. Wells story, quite honestly. So my only issue with it was at the end, but I mean, obviously, you know what I was thinking about? How we always, like, literally every episode we say spoilers, as if we don't talk about the entire movie. But I always just feel like it needs to be said. Anyway, so at the end of the movie, well, no, not at the end of the movie, with 20 to 30 minutes left, Brando dies.
Yep.
And after that, I just didn't give a shit. The guy Douglas, who's the lead character, like, there's not really anything. I'm not invested in that guy. You know, Val Kilmer's just nuts. I think it has.
I think it has more to do with like the train wreck scenario. Like, you just don't know what Brando's going to show up with or what he's going to say. So I do agree. Like, once his character was gone, I was kind of like, you know, it's probably just going to be like a movie from here on. Whereas where he was there, like, I was at the edge of my seat being like, what is he going to look like? And what is he going to sound like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, his fucking wardrobe changes are absolutely absurd. The white cloak that he's wearing, first of all, he's so large, it's like he put a comforter around, like a whole bed comforter around him. It's and the way that he wears it, and like the hats that he wears, and again, we mentioned the white face paint. Like, you know, the Angel of Death and Bill and Ted? Like,
yes.
It's the same fucking, like, face paint that Marlon Brando has for no reason at all. He just looks so absurd. So all that to say, I do agree that once he dies, I stopped caring, but I don't know if it's because the story got worse or just because I just was so excited to see what would happen and what he would say.
He wears a colander on his head filled with ice. It's insane. That's not a thing. Giant metal thing on his head. I've never seen anything so stupid in my whole life.
And in the documentary, they mentioned about how he was like, put this ice bucket on my head because I'm too hot. And they said they just literally cut the bottom out of an ice bucket, and it fit perfectly on his stupid round head.
It's the best story of all time. Oh my god. Yeah, I just don't know.
Sorry.
That character dies, and the guy Douglas, I just didn't really care about because, frankly, he didn't seem like a great guy. Like, I was just a little bit confused. And the animals, you're kind of like, who are we rooting for here? It was a little confusing.
That is a good point, because I'm at no point I'm ever like, I really want this person to prevail.
Right. You have no idea who you want to prevail. And at the end, the people that prevail, I was like, is this good? I'm honestly not sure. I have no idea. I really have no idea.
I'm 100% on board with the staff. We mentioned that they were like, yeah, Kilmer was just a dick, whereas Brando was incredibly difficult, but at least he was funny. And like, the more I think about him, like, if I had somebody like that at work, I'd be like, this person is such a stupid asshole, but I don't ever like want to be away from them ever. I just want to see what stupid things they're going to do today.
Absolutely. So we really haven't gotten anywhere in this movie.
We haven't. We've also summed up the entire movie.
I mean, we did. Yeah, actually, we really fucking did. So Remus is in this. We talked about that. If you were Daniel Radcliffe, I would have just bugged this guy constantly about the stories of this set.
Dude, so Tina and I met Ron Perlman, who is somehow in this, but not mentioned in the documentary.
Insane. I know.
And also, Ron, I have no clue which guy was Ron, and I also am not sure if he was even in makeup, because, it's disgusting. I do wish I when we were talking to him, that I had brought up this movie.
Dude, from the 80s through the 90s, Ron Perlman was only cast as disgusting beasts.
Well, he was literally Beast. It's true. He's literally Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
He's fucking Hellboy.
He played the goat, like, leader. The blind goat man leader. Which, by the way, there's a scene in this where Remus goes into Moreau's lab for the first time, and for some reason it's filled with alpacas. I would have done anything to see the alpaca man. Like, so fucking badly. It was all I wanted to see. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a long-ass episode. So what do we do? So Remus, he's out at sea with two other guys that somehow get eaten by sharks.
They're all beating the shit out of each other.
It opens up and it's like, yeah, we were fighting for water. And they're just punching each other in the face. And then they get eaten by sharks, and somehow Remus survives by literally just laying down in the boat the whole time. It was just the other two guys being like, oh yeah. While Remus just laid there. Val Kilmer and his boat drive by. They find Remus. They bring him on board. There's some weird stuff going on there, but they don't really talk about it till later on in the movie. When they port at the island, Remus, whose name is Douglas in the movie, he's like, hey, maybe I should just take this boat home. And Val Kilmer's like, I forget exactly what he says, but he's essentially like, oh, that's a fine if you want to get raped by that guy. He's like, those guys love to party and they think you're real cute. Something like that. And it's like, it's fucking disturbing. And also, in hindsight, probably the better decision.
It would 100% the better choice.
But I don't think you'd ever imagine an island filled with half human, half animal monsters. So.
How many times do you think that thought crossed his mind afterwards? Like, fuck, I wish that was happening.
I would do
right now.
anything to be on that boat. Anything to be on that boat. Val Kilmer takes him to the island. Val Kilmer also kills a rabbit for no reason at this point. I think it's to
snaps his neck. Yeah.
While Douglas is like, one time I had a rabbit and then it died. It was the saddest day of my life. Val Kilmer makes him kiss the rabbit he's holding and then fucking breaks its neck. They get to the island. Remus meets, I don't even know her name in it. It's some weird name, but it's Firuza Balk.
Ayissa or something like that? Issa?
Yeah. The only names I know are Douglas and Montgomery because they're just stupid American names. The other ones like I could never hear.
Lomai, one of the hybrid things.
Lomai. Oh, that was one of them was named like Shumu. I was like, what the fuck is that? So Remus gets to the island. He sees Firuza Balk dance into what sounds like that Pure Mood CD that was always on TV.
with fucking Enya.
Hey, and for some reason the X-Files theme song.
I remember. Holy shit! What? I remember that commercial vividly. What was the X-Files theme song?
Me too. Me too. It was always so weird. It was all these weird ass like I don't even know what you call them, spiritual type of songs, and then the X-Files theme song just crammed into the middle of it. So fucking bizarre. So Farouk is Farouk.
Farouk. I wish he was in this.
I haven't thought of that name in forever. Firuza Balk, she's outside dancing to the Pure Moods. It's ridiculous. And she is, well, I thought she was they play it up like she's Dr. Moreau's daughter, but we learn, you know, she's not really his blood daughter, right?
She's not. No,
she's just like the other ones that are like, fuck.
Somebody's gonna correct us, but I did not interpret it that way. I thought she was just a creation that referred to him as dad.
Right, and I think that's what the setup was. Like we were supposed to be like, oh, that's his daughter, and then we learn they all see themselves as his kids.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't have a child. Look at him.
Hasn't seen his dick in fucking decades.
And then, so, Remus is putting the moves on Firuza, and Val just appears out of nowhere wearing a skirt with flowers in his hair. He's like, yeah, she's a real pussycat. Which, like, going into the movie, you'd be like, what the fuck? Just.
But also, it's somehow foreshadowing.
Ridiculous. Montgomery and Douglas, they share their backstory. This is their little Mangle expert moment. Basically explaining who Moreau is for no reason. Oh yeah, Dr. Moreau, you mean that guy that disappeared 17 years ago and no one's seen him since? Val Kilmer's like, yeah, that one, but he's been here doing blah, 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 blah.
Dude, I would argue this is the most appropriate usage of a Mangle expert, because I guarantee they probably wanted Brando to give his backstory in some way, but they just couldn't. So I'm totally fine with the Mangle expert.
I'm sure Brando filmed like a 30-minute monologue about his life.
Speaking in German. Yeah.
I also spent 3 years in Germany. We also learned that Val Kilmer is supposed to be an intellectual of some type. He's a neuroscientist. He behaves like a maniac.
The least believable neuroscientist in any movie.
Ever. It's unbelievable. And then he reveals he kind of came out there about 10 years ago to help Moreau with his research in animals, and they have to be at this island because the animal rights activists make their work very difficult. Yeah. And then Val's like, let me show you to your room. Brings him to his room and locks him in.
It's like prison.
Remus is like, why have you locked the door? And he's like, this is for your own good, and disappears. That's the end of the story. Like, I'm getting out of there or I'm going to kill myself. Like, this is also not going to end well.
Gets out of there very easily.
Oh, that's actually a good point. He is out within 5 minutes. He's like, huh. And then just apparently walks out.
He has a look of panic for like maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then he decides to go out, and instead of trying to run and find help, he decides to run towards these wailing sounds of an animal screaming. It's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So he runs towards those. He gets into this lab. There's alpacas, there's goats. Then he sees the monster fetus tubes and an animal woman giving birth. Probably honestly, the coolest scene.
Yes. This scene's fucking awesome.
And, fun fact, this is the scene that Richard Stanley, like, described in detail, being like, I really wanted to do this scene. So this is 100% his idea.
Yeah.
He was like, I wanted, like, a pig woman with, like, her nipple, like, 19 nipples hanging out. And it's a horrifying scene.
It is, and like the suspense building up to it of him like discovering everything, like going from just animals to fetus tubes to that.
Yes,
it was great.
Yeah, it was perfect. I was actually surprised at how early we got to that.
Yeah,
I was surprised
because most movies will make you wait till the third act for.
Oh my god, which is such a fucking nightmare. They need to cut that shit out. That shit
they
sucks.
do. I just watched Summer Party Massacre 2. It's literally like 60 minutes of nothing, and then some guy finally is prancing around with his guitar and singing and doing doo-wop things.
Like, they know what we're here for.
Why you make you wait? Yeah, nobody wants to sit through the first 2/3 of nothing. Are you kidding me? Introduce that guy in the first 5 fucking minutes. Anyway.
Oh man. So he runs away. He starts screaming. He runs away. But he finds Fairuza, and we hear Val say, there's a lot of unstable phenomena out there, which leads us to learn that there's animals that are less in control of their faculties, I guess, or like emotions that are out in the wild. And they immediately run into them. There's no waiting for that. Oh, also, I gotta say, some of the other animal creatures are more, what would you call it? Like, domesticated? Like, they wear clothes and are soldiers and stuff. And they're driving military trucks to come after them. And one of them steps out in a tuxedo. What the fuck? Why is that guy in a tuxedo driving around in a military truck with guns? Dumbest shit I've ever seen. The animal people, he encounters the wild animal people, and there is some CGI. A lot of this was, what do they call it? Practical makeup effects. But there is some CGI in this, and, I would say it's better than a lot of the CGI we see today.
Especially for that time. I mean, looking at it now, it's not great, but we've seen way worse, even years later.
Dude, I would argue that little hyena man that's jumping around, that CGI is on par with It too.
This movie blows both It movies out of the fucking water in the CGI department.
It's crazy. That should not be the case. This was made in 1996.
I know.
That's insane. It looked so much better than that. It blew my mind. It's insane. Well, they find this baboon guy, Sassamon something. And then they go to look for Sayer of the Law, who is Ron Perlman. Because Ron Perlman just looks like an animal, so they just kept casting him as animals.
Exactly, yeah.
That's so bizarre. I would be like, I'm done with acting. I don't want to be an animal anymore.
So disheartening.
So imagine if they're like, you can only play these ugly creatures. They meet these animals. Fairuza's kind of a gatekeeper, it seems, between human and animal, or human and creatures. So she's keeping Douglas safe, and then we hear them all start screaming, the father, and we get our first look at Moreau of the movie, which is fucking madness. And in the documentary, it was great because I guess they had changed what Dr. Moreau was going to look like, because Richard Stanley was not going to portray him this way. And Fairuza Balk had no idea what he was going to look like, and she was like, all of a sudden this truck pulls up, and Brando's in it with a sheet around it, and mosquito netting all over her. Dude, that had to be his choice.
Sean, 1,000% his choice. Also, he showed up like 5 hours late. They were waited there all day for him to finally show up, and that's how he arrived. Like they didn't like he didn't show up and then they did it. Like that was literally him arriving in that.
Oh my god! Oh my god! And we also see Nelson De La Rosa for the first time here, and he's washing the white shit off of Moreau after Moreau electrocutes the animals and saves Douglas.
Yeah, they all have shock collars on.
Yeah, and Moreau has my favorite line here, where he's like, "No, this must be shocking for you." And Douglas is like, "Yeah, there's fucking half human, half animals running around." And he's like, "No, the white medication all over my face." It's like, "I have to wear it." And Douglas is like, "What?"
Again, that's 100% not in the script. It's just something that Brando said at that spot.
That's the shocking thing that Douglas just saw. Oh my god.
Discovered a brand new world.
And then Moreau's big...
Although, honestly, is he wrong? That is probably the most shocking.
It really is. I would be way more afraid of Moreau than the animal people.
I would too.
And then Moreau's like, because the guy's like, "You're the worst." And Moreau's like, "Listen, like, don't be rude. I'll see you at dinner." And then at dinner, him and Mini-Me are playing dueling pianos, and Mini-Me's piano is on top of his piano. They have matching pianos and matching outfits.
Dude, I'm looking up right now if Austin Powers credits this movie.
It has to. It has to. I don't think there was anything really like this, where there was a smaller man that just dressed up like this other man. So they have a dinner. Moreau and Douglas kind of just smell their own farts and talk about, I don't even know. It's just two actors like acting or trying to act, like they're just saying words. It was the most pointless scene. And they were just like, "Who's killing the devil now?" And Douglas is like, "I killed the devil. You're the devil." Like, just fucking nonsense. Made no fucking sense. But the ultimate message. Oh, what?
Sean, right here it says the entire character of Mini-Me is a parody of the mini Dr. Moreau, which Moreau keeps as a companion. In addition, they both have scenes where the two sit playing piano together.
I just spit out my water.
It's fucking brilliant.
I mean, why wouldn't you mock this? It's insane. And it's even more insane because it was Brando's idea, who was like, "No, I don't want to make a real movie. I just want this little guy to follow me around."
Dude, comedy screenwriters must have been so happy watching this. It just fucking writes itself. Are you kidding me?
Dude, I remember there was just a million parodies of this at the time.
Yeah, South Park.
Yeah. It was crazy. I remember Mad TV did something with it. It was just so easy to make fun of.
Yeah, low hanging fruit.
Oh my god. Yeah. So, oh yeah, we learned Moreau, the ultimate goal of all this nonsense was Moreau is trying to make a creature that had no malice, which so far we've seen is not the case.
No. Because from the get-go.
Yeah, from the get-go, all these creatures are like, "Oh, I want to kill somebody."
Yeah.
And Moreau's like, "I'm so fucking close."
And they all have guns.
Yes. Also, Moreau is very adamantly against eating meat, which I thought was going to come into play. So I wrote that note, and it doesn't really come into play.
No, he just gets mad at Kilmer for eating an animal, which also doesn't come back into play.
No.
What is Kilmer's point in this movie?
So again, I think all of these characters got shifted around because Kilmer filmed all of his shit in like 3 weeks because that was his contract. And they said that it was like a small part in the documentary and he was okay taking the smaller part so he could get out of there in 3 weeks or whatever it was. But he's in the entire
movie. Yeah.
So something changed and I don't know what, and I don't know what his purpose was. The only thing I can think of is when they switched directors, just everything shifted and Val Kilmer was probably like, oh, I'll do it now. Cause there was a lot of politics going on and I don't know what.
Or if literally everything was shot in 3 weeks, but they were so inept that it just took them 6 months to actually finish it.
Well, no, that's definitely the case, but I don't know. I think Val Kilmer's role changed because they were like, he was a side character because I don't know. And when they said that, I was like, that's weird because I think I remember him being a big part. He's in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
He might be in it more than Brando is.
He definitely is because Kilmer lives longer.
That's true. Dude, and this director, they said he only took it because he wanted to work with Brando. Yeah. Imagine getting to set and this is what you have to deal with. You're like, I'm going to work with a legend. And then he's like, put that ice bucket on.
They said the day that he was arriving to set, the director was like uncharacteristically nervous, and like he was usually like a hard ass and you know, an old school film director.
Yeah.
He was like uneasy because Brando was coming, and Brando arrives in that fucking shitmobile, white paint smeared all over his face.
He's a fucking mess. Oh my god. Oh fuck, that's fucking funny. Well, where are we now? So they have dinner, whatever. We already talked about that. There's a bunch of boring speeches here. Moreau gives a speech to the animals. And I think it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to give us some, like, backstory of these animals or give us some details. And Moreau's just like, no. All hail the father, or whatever. And then nothing really happens. And then they call up this cheetah. And they're like, you killed something that's living.
And Brando demands they have a trial.
But it's interrupted by this butler animal who just goes up and shoots it in the head. And Brando's like, what are you doing? Brando might have thought he might have actually killed him or something. It was Brando's best acting in the movie. He was like, what is happening? Why would you do that?
It's true. This is most animated for sure. So I'm with you. He definitely was not expecting that. Forgot he was in a movie.
You just killed that cheetah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then, killing the cheetah causes all this chaos. The animals are a little bit on edge. And one of the animal people, the hyena, he looks through, the cremated remains of his buddy and he finds a microchip on the rib. So he rips it out of his own ribs.
Yes.
That's something.
And that microchip is what Brando uses to shock them. So when he wants to control them or subdue them, he hits a button and it electrocutes them.
Yeah, the justice. It's how he inflicts the justice. So we see Val giving out shots and also making out with dog women.
Yes. Yes.
Fucking most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh, wait. Is it the most disgusting thing, or is it when Mini-Me's naked right next to him?
That was repulsive.
And it's also very glossed over. It's happening in the background of a scene, and Mini-Me's just naked, and he's got this giant fat tail. One of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. Oh, God. Well, Val's like, yeah, just give him all these drugs. And Douglas is like, hey, what about that guy over there? And the fucking hyena guy's just in the brush staring at them.
Dude, I love scenes like that because why wouldn't he just not show up? Or like, you know, if he's already like self-aware and he's gotten rid of that chip, he would just like go away, you know, instead of going to where he's not supposed to be, just awkwardly staring so he knows that you're going to see them.
Just lay low and plot your revenge. He just shows up, just staring. Just standing still and staring Val Kilmer dead in the eyes. Which, of course, Val Kilmer's like, oh, shit. And Val Kilmer realizes his chip's out. And then they go hunting for this guy. And for whatever reason, you know, they don't catch this guy. And he kind of somehow gets an army of other animals that he de-chips.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how that happens or why, but it does.
Yeah, he recruits a rebellion. Yeah.
Yeah. Cut to Moreau with a colander on his head. And there's nothing to talk about in that scene other than Fairuza Balk reveals she's a cat, which we already knew because 5 minutes into the movie, Val Kilmer was like pussycat and like looked at the screen and winked basically. So this conversation means nothing.
I guess it's worth mentioning that they get their shots because if they don't, they regress to like their pure animal form.
That's true, and it's also worth mentioning that Fairuza's cat character is like, I'm a monster, I'm gross, and she's like, I want to look like you, and Marlon Brando's like, you don't want to look like me. And like genuinely laughs, and I don't think that's in the script.
I don't think we have to say you don't think that's in the script because we know for a fact Brando didn't read his lines.
Oh right, I forgot.
And I highly doubt because he does. He like laughs, so I doubt somebody read that through his earpiece. He probably just thought they were having a candid conversation.
Like he just thought the whole movie was real.
Yeah. Why would you want to look like me? Bowling ball ass head.
I mean, for a guy that hates acting, like I could see him doing that just because he's like, I'm not going to read the real line here. Why would she say that? There's no reason. Even as a cat person, she's better looking than me.
Yeah. Which, by the way, she looks 100% normal. Like when she starts regressing, her teeth get a little pointier, but she still looks 100% normal.
Now, is Fairuza Paul's favorite actress?
Paul hates Fairuza Balk. I don't know what his beef is, but he fucking hates Fairuza Balk.
Honestly, I never really remembered her acting. So when I knew that about Paul, I was like, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Paul's decision. And then I watched this and I was like, she's fine.
She's fine. Like, what is she even in that you could possibly hate? This is Craft, right? Like, it was... Paul's an asshole, yeah. Which, by the way, we announced that we're coming back, right? And
yeah.
We got a lot of love, and I appreciate that. But what's with all the fucking Paul love? Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ! Every other question I got was about Paul.
I know. It's very odd. It's very odd. I want to do another episode with Paul, but there's no way we can do it remotely with him because he decide to eat an entire bag of chips to the fucking microphone. Forget that he's on the show.
I was gonna say, he'd 100% just put the phone down, go operate heavy machinery or something.
I'm mowing the lawn.
And you'd be like, Paul, you know we're recording right now. And I'd be like, oh yeah? just keep saying that over and over again.
Paul in our group chat on Instagram sent us a story that Joe posted in his story. Like Joe's story. He sent us Joe's story for us to look at, like as if Joe hadn't seen it. And Joe said, Paul, are you kidding me? Look, that's my story. And Paul's response was, what was it? Like, he was like, groovy.
it was whoa, far out.
Far out.
I've known Paul since 1993. I've never heard him say far out my entire fucking life.
Far out. Oh, fucking maniac. Oh my god. Well, the hyena boy, the hyena man thing, he has an army now. They break into Moreau's house, and Moreau comes down with like cookies and milk. And he's acting like they're supposed to be there. And he's like, would you guys like a snack?
Doesn't he serenade them then, too?
Yeah, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to play this song for you. He's like, well, first he goes, there's two types of music. This kind, and then he just starts banging the piano. I was like, that's not a kind of music. And he calls it like tone music. He's like, this is tone music. And just like, burr, 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 burr. I'm like, that's not a real thing. And he's like, oh, and then there's this kind. And then it was real music. And the animals kind of like calm down and you think that they're sedated or whatever. But Hyena Man kind of has his I'm not an animal moment. And he's like, what am I, father? Like, you know what you are. Half an animal. Mini-Me hands him the necklace to try and zap him, but to no luck. If there is no pain, there is no more law. And they attack and eat the shit out of Moreau. And rip off Dr. Moreau's hand. And of course, Douglas, who's just always he's everywhere in this movie. Anytime something happens, he walks in on it and is like, oh. It's fucking insane. So he walks in on this, and dude, if you walk in on this, what are you doing? You're gonna leave. Yeah. You're gonna fucking leave. And for some reason, he starts
swim back home.
It's insane. He starts shooting at him.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's also worth mentioning that this guy does try to like contact the outside world, but every time he does something, like he tried to get on the boat and it's just filled with disgusting hybrid rats for some reason. And then he tries to radio home and Val Kilmer just destroys it. For no fucking reason.
Val Kilmer, he's trying to radio home, and Val Kilmer shows up with the computer chip laying on his head. And he's like, looking for this? It's like a motherboard, like laying on his head.
I think I love this movie.
It's so fucking dumb. So now everyone is just kind of concerned about the law. There's like a lot of animals being like, what about the law? It makes no sense. And then the most ridiculous thing, the animals disarm Montgomery, which is Val Kilmer. And you'd think that would be like a critical point when they take the guns away from the humans. But it's literally just randomly cuts to Val Kilmer sleeping in a chair. And one of the fucking animals just sneakily reaching into his shirt pocket and pulling the gun out.
Right.
That's it. That's the end. Val Kilmer has no more gun. Fucking dumb. Douglas and Montgomery and Douglas, Val Kilmer and Rupus. Whatever. Douglas and Montgomery are behaving just like maniacs. Val Kilmer's doing his Moreau impression, which is amazing.
Yeah, spot on.
He's wearing the white makeup, all the weird white clothes, and is just like, and talking to Douglas that way, who's just trying to get off the island, and you have to deal with Val Kilmer now pretending to be Dr. Moreau. Like he was already an asshole to begin with. And now he's pretending to be Dr. Moreau. Can't even talk to him.
Fresh off the death of a guy who's he's been with for like 25 years. He just immediately assumes his identity.
And he's basically like being like, I know you are, but what am I? To Douglas.
Yeah. Refuses to break character.
He's just fucking trolling Douglas, who's losing his mind.
That's so good. Also, he destroys all the serum for some reason.
Dude, Montgomery's like, we need the serum. And he's like, yeah, I destroyed it all. So it just means they're all going to turn. It's insane. Yeah. Oh, boy.
And he has no motivation to do that, does he?
No. Why would you? And then it cuts, like, pretty harsh cut to Montgomery being carried down to the animal lair like a king. And then I think he's handing out the serum.
Oh, wait, because Val says that he destroyed it all, and then conveniently, like 2 seconds later, the other guy finds like a stash spot that.
Because Val was the one handing him out. Val got carried down and was like, "Here, take some," and he was like throwing vials out. So I mean, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just drugs. Who the fuck knows? It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Oh, God. I don't know what's happening. This is when it really, like, I'm just like, who cares? Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, Douglas goes to the lab, though.
That's right.
He finds his blood vial and his little babies in jars, and realizes, which, like, I feel like this could have been cooler, but anyway, he's like, he was gonna use me to make serum. Which, like,
yeah, because he was going to stop, his blood was going to stop Fairuza Balk's regression.
Yeah, but like, whatever.
Why?
Oh my God. The animal army invades Val Kilmer's little orgy that he has going on. And Val Kilmer screams, I want to go to dog heaven. So the butler dog kills him. There was no alpaca man in this. Fairuza and Doug, they blow up the lab. The animals start chasing them. And the dogs attack them. The dogs catch them. Fairuza starts acting like the weird cat girl that you knew in like 6th grade that like hissed at you. And then they just fucking hang her. They just... she's just dead. They're building up this character, Fairuza Balk, and then one of the dogs is just like, bye, and then just like throws her off the fucking roof with a rope around her neck.
So abrupt.
So abrupt. Then the end scene, the hyena and his army are speaking to all the animals, electrocuting them. The hyena wants everyone to call him a god. I don't know what the motivation of all of this is or why this is happening. That dude, that hyena man shoots like a bunch of the animals.
Yep.
And I don't really know what happens.
Yeah, he kills them all. And then, wait, but then who shoots him?
No one shoots him. They like.
I thought he got shot and he falls into a bunch of fire.
I know, they scare him and he drops his gun.
Oh, good, even stupider.
And then. Oh yeah, wait. Oh, so also I didn't know this guy was a hyena the whole movie. I thought he was
of course
a baboon. And then, but at the end he does the hyena laugh, and I was like, now you wait to do this? Like that could have been like a cool thing the whole movie.
Yeah, could have been his MO. Yeah,
and now he does it in the very last scene of the fucking movie. But anyway, so they're shooting anyone, but then somehow they get the gun away from him, and then all the patsy animals, like the ones that dress as butlers and shit, they like come out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, and like one of them has like a 4-foot club. It's just hitting the hyena man with. And the hyena man's just like kind of like running around. Douglas gets a gun and is just pointing it at him, but won't shoot him. And then ultimately the hyena man's like, and then just walks into the fire.
This is yelling about why did Moreau create him?
Dude, he's screaming, why? Imagine walking into fire and being like, why? Oh god, and that's the end. Douglas, you see him getting on his little shit box raft to go away, and the animals are like, "Please don't go." And Douglas is like, "Don't worry, I'll bring back more scientists and doctors." And then that's when Ron Perlman's like, "Please don't bring anyone back." And then the baboon guy is like crying about him leaving, like sniffling, and it's like, dude, Douglas didn't do shit for you guys.
He did. Dude, he couldn't have done less.
He could not have done less. He just showed up when bad things happened and was like, "Oh my god."
Dude, Douglas's entire character could have been completely left out of the movie, and all the points still would have been made.
Dude, you're 100% right. There's actually no reason for it.
Like, why did they even bother recasting him? It's fucking ridiculous.
I wish they did Brando as both characters. All right, man. So that's the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, it sure was.
Great first episode back.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good, man.
It does feel good. This is the reboot. Reboot in the horror show. I'm excited. I think there's a lot we can do.
I was gonna say we're not gonna stick to just horror this time, right?
Oh yeah. And I'm probably gonna change like
probably
our
should have
little
mentioned
intro.
that.
Yeah, I'm gonna change our intro a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna do more of like a cult thing, which I've wanted to do for so fucking long. Like literally since the cult movie challenge since you found that. I was like, there's just so much gold there. And it is in the same wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like, we're still going to pick violent, weird shit. But
all the time, like, even at the height of the horror show, people would be like, will you please do this, like, Chuck Norris movie? Or will you please do No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan?
I think it's worth it to do. I think we'll find a niche kind of in, like, those cult movies. Dude, even, what is it? CT horror. What is Larry's thing? The horror screening, what's it called? Cult classic. Oh wait,
Connecticut Cult Classics.
Oh well, yeah, that's what it is. So I guess it's not about horror. But like he usually shows horror, but then like he'll occasionally throw like Lady Terminator in, and it's that shit is amazing. That shit's amazing, and we need to talk about it. That will. I'm so excited for that stuff. So
Agreed.
We're gonna do a lot of that too. I don't think people care, and if you do, that's fine. Whatever. Everyone cares about everything now, so it's fine. Nothing new.
Dude, I love. Not to be negative right off the bat, but I love that still to this day we get messages being like, "Why all you guys do is talk about the movie from start to finish." It's like, yeah, that is all we do. We've been doing that for fucking 4 years.
It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. It boggles my mind. Oh, all they do is talk. Who wants to listen to that? Don't listen then. Like what? What? It's so weird. If I listen to something I didn't want to listen to, I'd turn it off. How many albums have I started and been like, oh my god, this is fucking terrible. I'm not going to listen to this. It's so fucking weird, but you know, whatever. I'm not reading the reviews anymore. I was actually talking to that guy, Steven Strikes Guitars. Recently. First of all, did you see that they wrote a song for Red Baron Pizza? And it's like, no. Dude, it's the craziest thing. So I started talking to him because I saw Red Baron Pizza post a tweet of his band When the Clock Strikes, which is like, they've picked up like a pretty big fan base, it seems. But Red Baron Pizza posts their video being like, this is our official new song of Red Baron Pizza. Shit. And I was like, what the fuck? So I messaged him and I was like, what is happening? Like, and cause I went through the timelines trying to figure out what had occurred, but I couldn't piece it together. And I was like, did you guys win a contest or something? And he's like, no. He's like, our lead singer just like kept harassing them on Twitter with these like weird videos he was making about Red Baron Pizza. And they basically were like, well, if you're such a good singer, like write a song for Red Baron Pizza. So they did. And then Red Baron Pizza was like, this is awesome, and posted it.
It's amazing.
I know. And I was like, that's crazy. So me and him were talking about that. And then he started talking about the show, and we kind of just started talking about feedback. And I was like, I am super sensitive to like criticism and feedback. And I was like, and Joe literally does not give a shit and like sends me the reviews. And I'm like, oh my God. And I want to fucking kill myself. And Joe's like, look at this idiot.
I'm so bad at that because I know you process it differently, and I always feel bad afterwards because I'm expecting you to react like I do and like laugh out loud, and you're just like, "Oh my God, like what have we done?" Like, oh, fuck.
Well, it's so funny because like Steven said the same thing. He's like, oh, it's the same thing. He's like, there's like a bunch of tweets because it's Red Baron Pizza. It's a fucking national account, and he's like, there's a bunch of tweets like about us that like some of them aren't nice, and he's like, and the lead singer keeps sending them to me, being like, "LOL."
Yeah,
and he's having like a nervous breakdown about it.
Dude, I think about that all the time because I do it to you all the time, and every time, and I've never learned my lesson in 4 years. I'm always like, oh man, look at this idiot. It's like, and then you're just completely ruined your day.
I'm devastated for like a month. It like affects me for like a fucking month. But it's weird because like once I talk to you about it, like in person, I'm fine with it. I understand, but somewhere deep down it bothers me still. But it shouldn't because it's insane. It's insane, but it does fucking bother me. And I think it bothers me more because these people are just wasting their fucking time. Go do something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm excited to be back. It'll be good. So we'll have some more announcements down the line of whatever we're doing in the future, whether that's Patreon or whatever. Hopefully, dude, it's weird doing this during the coronavirus too, because no live shows probably in the near future.
No, but I would love to start doing that once things open back up.
That's you
mentioned cult classics, like showing a video and doing a show after, like that would be ideal.
Yeah, hosting our own thing. I think that's kind of the way we're going to be moving towards shit. Is we're just going to do it ourselves, and we're not going to wait for other people to book us and stuff. I would love to do Salem again, though. I wonder if they're going to do something online for it, because that would be cool.
I think they are. Jessica actually reached out a little while ago and asked if I wanted to like judge some shorts that they're doing, but I would love to link up with Salem again.
All right, yeah, we should reach out to her. Yeah, have our management call them. So that's it, man. So, one other thing, Patreon picks are done. For us to do this, we have to have final say of the movies we're doing. We're going to come up with something cool for Patreon though.
It was a nice incentive, and like, I'm glad that we did it. Like, well, towards the end I wasn't, but like, it was a nice incentive. And
we got some good movies out of it. We got some amazing movies out of it.
Stuff that I wouldn't have watched, but like, this go around, I just want to be able to be like, hey, I really want to watch this.
Dude,
like, this looks like something I would have fun.
How did no one pick Island of Dr. Moreau?
Right?
Like, this is amazing. This is the best thing that ever happened.
Do you have a, I know, we've been talking for 90 minutes, and like, some episodes, you know, on Patreon pick ones, would be like 50 minutes in, I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking gouge my eyeballs out. Like,
there were, and we had to make them work, and that was fucking hard. That was like fucking hard to do with some of them. Some of them were just, and what was the one that broke me? Vampire in Brooklyn?
Yeah, it was Vampire in Brooklyn. That was the downfall of the first go around.
It was because I was just, I watched fucking 10 minutes of it, and I was like, this is awful. I'm not having fun anymore. Like, this is not fun.
Is that movie that bad?
Did we ever do it or no?
Well, no, because I was going to watch it, and you were like, that's when it broke you. You're like, I'm done, Joe. It's like, okay, I guess I'm not going to watch it.
Honestly, I don't know if it was like, I think it was a fine movie. I mean, Eddie Murphy does an accent that is just abysmal. But I honestly don't remember. But I remember, I don't think it was like a bad movie. I think it was just, I think it was just a movie I didn't want to watch, and there was nothing there. And I was just like, what am I going to say? Like, I'm writing jokes for this and I just have nothing. And I'm like, I don't know what to say about this.
But that's a good point. And that's why I want to be like, I want us to have say in what we're choosing. Cause there's just sometimes it's so flat and you're like, what the fuck am I going to say to you other than like, yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Yeah. Cause like it's insane. It's insane.
Do you have something picked out for next week?
I don't. So we do you have something picked out for next week?
I don't.
I'm trying to think if I guess I don't have a list of the Patreon picks anymore. I know I must have it somewhere on my computer, but I don't see it here. Jesus Christ, we were doing this in 2015. That's insane.
We started in 2014.
That's fucking stupid.
It is.
I don't know. How about we just ask people to send us some ideas and we'll find something we like.
Okay.
What's by the way, Sean, I don't know, but when do we release the episodes? Tuesday?
Yeah.
All right. I'll have the email set up by then. So email your ideas to Sean at ihatehorror.com or Instagram or maybe Twitter. Yeah, I guess Twitter. Twitter's fine. Just hit us up. Give us some ideas. What is Witch Trap?
Witch Trap?
It's on my list.
I think I'm sold.
Dude, the IMDb synopsis is deadly dull horror film about a group of ghost hunters and cops who enter an old mansion, which is said to be haunted by the previous owner.
Okay.
It looks like a metal cover. All right, so we might be doing Witch Trap unless we get some other ideas, and then we'll post it on our account. Wait, is Witch Trap a black metal band?
I've never heard of a band called Witch Trap.
No, Witch Trap is an album. It's a tribute to Venom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the guy that directed this also directed Witchboard and Night of the Demons.
Guy loves witch titles, huh?
He really.
I'm too busy.
Does.
I'm too busy looking up Hal Havens because that face is absolutely ridiculous, dude. Fucking please Google Hal Havens right now and look at the third picture that comes up.
Who is it?
Serious?
Who is it?
Hal Havens.
Okay, hang on.
It has a Night of the Demons poster in the background. It's the third picture that comes up on Google.
I don't see. Text it.
Don't see it. All right, hold on.
You Googled it?
Yeah, because I typed in what's the movie called? Witch Trap.
Yeah.
This movie's gonna be so bad. Yeah, I Googled it and it had like a list of the cast and his face was so stupid I had to look his up. But this is the third picture. fucking Weekend at Bernie's. Did it come through?
Who's the person next to him? What is happening? So who does he play? He's that like pig guy.
In what, Witch Trap?
No, from Night of the Demons.
Oh yeah, I guess he would be in Night of the Demons. Yeah. Is he the pig guy?
He's like the jock pig guy, yeah.
Oh, fucking Stooge.
Stooge, yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's it. We'll probably watch Witch Trap. I hope it's just the plot of Parent Trap, but with witches.
That would be honestly way better than what we're about to watch.
We'll probably do Witch Trap, so prepare for that. And if we audible, we'll let you know on Instagram at I Hate Horror or Twitter also at I Hate Horror. We're also at ihatehorror.com, but there's nothing there except links to how to listen to it. And you guys are already listening, so it doesn't matter. So tell your friends we're back because we are. And we're gonna make some moves here. And have some good stuff lined up for you down the road.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to say, Joe?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird.
Thank you.
Adios.
Dissect. Movies all fucking day.
Wanna play?
I'm gonna watch what I'm not supposed to watch.
Dismember.
A fucking zombie getting sliced and diced. A monster.
Mutilate. And butcher. That's it, guys.